Big value problems of straight line. Here we have a question in which we are required to draw the graph. As step 1 of the procedure for drawing graph of straight line, we will isolate the value of y. So let's get started. The given straight line is what? X minus 2y plus 1146 equal to 0. If we want to isolate y, we have to move all the terms independent of y on the other side of the equation. If y is on the left side, we will be moving all the terms independent of y on the right side of the equation. Therefore, we will have minus 2y left on left hand side while moving x and 1146 on the other side. So we write minus x minus 1146, and then we will divide with minus 2 in order to make the coefficient of y equal to 1. So let's divide both sides by minus 2. Minus 2y over minus 2 equal to minus 2, and here minus x minus 1146. So this gives us y equal to x over 2 plus 1146 over 2. This will be equal to 1146 divided by 2 is equal to y equal to x over 2 plus 573. So this is required form of the line in which we have isolated y on the left side of the equation, moving everything else on the right side of the equation. This is the desired form whenever we want to draw the graph of a straight line. So let's call it equation 1, so that if we need to refer it back, we have a name for this equation. Now, as step 2 of the drawing the graph of straight line, we assume few values of x, and against those values of x we find values for y. Therefore, we are going to assume values for x. And here another question: if there is a denominator on the right side, which is 2 in this case here, we should assume those values of x which are multiples of 2, so that we don't get any fractional value. I repeat, the values assumed for x in this case must be multiples of 2, so that we don't get any fractional value for y. Therefore, we assume for x 0, and then we assume 2, and then we assume 4, and next we assume 6, and next we assume 8, next we assume 10, and so on. If the denominator on the other side of this equation was 3, like if the equation was y is equal to x over 3 plus 573, then we will be assuming values for x as 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. That way we don't end up with fractional values. That's why I took these values as multiples of 2, and now we are going to find out values for y. And for finding values of y, we will see at x equal to 0, if we place x equal to 0 in equation 1, y will be equal to 1 over 2 times 0 plus 573. So this will give us 573, which is against x equal to 0. So we write 573, and for x equal to 2, at x equal to 2, y is equal to 1 over 2 times 2 plus 573. This is equal to 1 plus 573. This is 574. Here we have got a pattern here, but if we want to continue, we can still see at x equal to 4, y is equal to 1 over 2 times 4 plus 573. This will give us 575. 575. So the pattern is clear now. So here it is 570, 575. This would be 576, and next would be 577, 577, and then 578. So for every increment of two values in x, there is an increment of 1 in the values of y. And now we can find the ordered pairs x, y, and here we have ordered pairs 0, 573, and 2, 574, and here we have 4, 575. Next we have 6, 576, and next is 8, 577, and next is 10 here, and 578, 578. These are the ordered pairs, and we will need to plot these points, these pairs, on the Cartesian plane, which we have made here. So now we are going to see here, for if we want to write down the scale, it's always good idea to write down the scale. Scale is equal to, along x-axis, along x-axis, one small square is equal to one small square. If we want to keep one small square is equal to one small square equal to 1, then along y-axis, we can choose the same thing, one small square equal to 1 unit here, and 1 unit over here as well. So if this is the scale, let's label the values for x first. 0 at the origin, and this should be labeled as well. This is x-axis, this is x dash, and this is origin, where we have 0, and then this is 2, this is 4, this is 6, this is 8, and this is 10. And if we want to go further, we can go to 12 and 14 as well. Depends how far you want to go. And now, because the values for y are bigger, 573, it will not be in the visible area if we start counting from the origin. Therefore, we can draw a little zigzag here. We can draw a little zigzag here, indicating that we have skipped the viewable area, and we can start from any point, labeling this as 573, 573, and then the next would be 74, next would be 75, next would be 76, 77, 78. Of course, this is 574, 575, 576, 577, and 578. And against 0 of x, what is the value for y? The ordered pair we have is 0, 573. So for 0, this is 573, the point will be right here. And for 2, it's 574, so next point will be right here. And for 4, it's 575, so for 4 the point will be here. And you can see that all the points are getting in one linear shape. So at 6, this is 576. At 6, it is 576. And now similarly at 8, it should be 577. And at 10, this should be 578. And now the pattern is clear that all these points are on a straight line, and we can draw this straight line through these points, and this is that straight line. So this way we can draw that straight line, and the equation of this straight line would be y is equal to 1 over 2 x plus 573. And there are few questions that still we need to answer. And what are those questions? That find the value of x at 13.2. So for that question, to find value of x, value of y at x equal to 13.2, either we can read the graph or we can find the value algebraically by putting this value of x directly into the equation and then finding the value. So y equal to 1 by 2, and instead of x put 13.2 plus 573, and this should give us the total value, that is 579.6. If you read this value from here, that should be, if we extend the line, this is handmade line, otherwise if we had the actual straight line, we can read 13.2 on horizontal axis. 13.2 would be right here somewhere, and if we draw the line from this point to meet the line, and then we can also draw the line from here to meet the line at this point. So this is x equal to 13.2, and the value we can read is, this is 578, this is 579, and 579 point something, and this we got algebraically 579.6, and that is approximately 579.6 as well. So whether you read it from the graph or you algebraically calculate the value of y at x is equal to 13.2, both will give you the approximation of y equal to 579.6. The next question we have is that find the x-intercept. So how do we find x-intercept? We can find by algebraically. For x-intercept, substitute substitute y equal to 0. So wherever the x-intercept is, y must be 0 there. So if we put that y equal to 0 in equation, y is equal to 1 by 2 x plus 573. If we substitute y equal to 0, this will give us 0 is equal to 1 by 2x plus 573, and this should give us 0 equal to x plus 1146. 1146, if you multiply 2 throughout, both equations will get both sides will get multiplied by 2, and this is what we'll get. And this was, the equation was y is equal to x plus 46. So that is the value for x-intercept. And similarly now, okay, here we haven't calculated the value. In fact, x is equal to minus 1146, and the point will be thus minus 1146, and 0 is x-intercept, or is the point where the line crosses x-axis, is the x-intercept. And for y-intercept, we are going to place x equal to 0 for y-intercept. For y-intercept, substitute x equal to 0, because on all of y-axis, x is always equal to 0. So if we substitute y is equal to 0 here, x is equal to 0, then y would be equal to 1 by 2, 0 plus 573. So y is equal to 573. Therefore, the y-intercept would be y-intercept is equal to 0, 573. This is y-intercept. And the last thing that we need to answer is the slope. And slope we can, and by the way, we can read the x-intercept and y-intercept from the graph of line as well, but we can also calculate algebraically by using this method. And third, for finding slope, whenever y is isolated, if y is isolated on left hand side of equation, then coefficient of x is equal to slope of the line. So here, if y is equal to 1 by 2 x plus 573, the slope is equal to 1 by 2, because that's the coefficient of x. And we can also utilize the method for rise over run. So if we go from, take any 2 points, doesn't have to be any particular point, any 2 points of the line, and then we calculate the rise and run. And here we can see that for this point A, what is the value of x? That is 2. And for this point B, the value of x is 4. So 4 minus 2, 2 is the run. and rise is from 574 to 575, that rise is 1. Slope is equal to rise over run. So if we find it through the graph, this will be again 1 over 2 as well.